We've got Cam Balser with us today, and Cam comes from Swayze, Indiana. I was aware of Cam as a young child going through, even as a kindergartner. He was a twin, and I got to see him kind of grow up through there, just a perfect individual, perfect kid. Never got in trouble, so I never got to see him in the office. So whatever trouble you were in, Cam, wasn't bad.
Yeah.
But Cam is on a very adventurous journey. He is planning on running around the perimeter of the United States. Now, if that doesn't sound amazing in itself, he has a goal. And your goal is?
I would love to, or I'm going to run across all 7 continents eventually in my lifetime.
All 7 continents. So that is pretty much amazing. I looked at some of the records from the high school, from cross country and track and etc. just recently, and Cam has been out of school for some 13 years, but his records are still intact because nobody has beat him. Most of the time when you have track or cross country records, in 4 or 5 years they're off the slate because kids are faster, better training and all that stuff. So Cam was ahead of himself. We really appreciate having Cam do what he needs to do. So we're going to start off with a few questions, Cam, and you can just answer them as candidly as you would like. Tell us about your family and what they're doing today.
Well, my mom's in Kokomo, and she's currently working at Aptiv, which is basically autonomous vehicles. My sister is working at, Kayla is working at Chrysler in Kokomo. And my twins, she does stuff with the interior design when she can, and she's substitute teaching at South Whitley high school, or I think it's high school and elementary. She does both. And then my dad is still, he's in Swayze where we grew up, and he's still working at Chrysler. So they're doing that and keeping in contact with me every day.
Okay, that's pretty amazing that they do that. I would too if your kid's out sleeping in the Everglades.
Yeah.
Can you remember a teacher in your elementary time that you particularly admired, or they were your favorite teacher, maybe why?
And just elementary, or?
Yeah, let's go with elementary.
I can say the one I've definitely kept in contact with is Mrs. Ertl. I do get a card from her every so often, and she's kept in contact with me, and she just had a lot of good energy, and I can remember that. And then if it were high school, he was not just my teacher but my coach, Paige Brunner. I didn't realize the life lessons I was learning as I was running there, so that's definitely something I've taken with me as an adult. So I really appreciate that relationship, and with Mrs. Ertl as well. And I would say it's hard to choose a favorite because I think there's just so many small moments with individual teachers that, are really important in my life right now. So
I just happened to have talked to Miss Ertl today, and when I did, she says, remind Cam that I was the first one that taught him to run in PE or whatever. So that was pretty good about her. So what's been your biggest challenge so far, other than this 12,000-mile journey around the United States?
Just in life in general. I think, a lot of that would be myself. I think getting my own way is the biggest challenge that I've went through. And I would just say that. I think sometimes we get in our own way, or just believe we can't do things, or just get in situations, or life happens. So I would just say, myself.
And when did you first notice that you might be a talented runner?
I think the very first time because I was playing football, but and that's a team sport kind of thing. Probably the first time I was out in, I think 7th grade, very first, one of the first races I ran, it was something that I could tell that it was a lot easier for me than I was seeing other people do it. So I knew it was something that I was going to keep doing. Probably around the first couple races in 7th grade. So.
And do you remember running in the elementary when we had those races?
I do. Yeah, I do.
Did
remember.
you do it good in those?
I think you're at an age where it's like everyone's really close. But I remember being in the top few people. I know Mitch Slaughter and stuff like that in my class were up there. So I guess I didn't know until a little bit later, like junior high and definitely high school, that maybe this might be somewhere I want to really, go towards. So.
Okay, and you belong to the Meshinga Misha Running Club?
Yeah.
And what do they do? What's the...
For me is I think they just give, actually a huge thing is they give people maybe an opportunity to really chase their individual, goals. I mean, we have people, running either 5Ks, 10Ks. We had Anthony Bruns from Marion that actually was going for the Olympic trials to go and race the Olympic trials in the marathon. So we have, people doing all kinds of sort of things, or they have people like me wanting to do this crazy adventure and to be able to support those people that really have those dreams that maybe didn't have that opportunity when they were younger. So
what's the longest race? And this is not included a race, it's a 12,000-mile adventure, but what was the longest race that you've done?
200 miles. I ran out in, it was called Potawatomi in Peoria, Illinois. So I went out there. It's a 10-mile loop you do, and you do it 20 times. And it's about 1,500 feet of elevation every lap. So it was quite a bit of elevation. I think it's close to Mount Everest. But that was the longest race I've done. And
how many were in that? I mean,
what's crazy is it went from the 200-mile race to, I think, a 10-miler. So you had the 200 obviously started like Thursday, and then other people did other races. But in the 200, I think there was at least 40 or 60 people that were out there. And there was only, I think, both times I did it, I think there was only about a handful of people that finished it, because it's in April. So if it rains there, the people that have been there, it's a mud mess. So you're really trying to get through the mud and all of that. So
well, they have some races that they're 48-hour races. Is that right?
Yeah.
Was that one of them?
Oh no, this was just you have Thursday, and then you have until Sunday till 4 p.m. to get it done. So whatever you do, you can run 50 miles, take a nap, and then go back out there. It's whatever you got a time frame to hit. And I think I was able to do that in 50 some hours. I can't really recall, but that was one of those ones where you're just like, I want to finish. It's a 200. You have no sleep or anything like that. So
on your little data sheet that you have on your webpage, it says that you've gone through 9 pair of running shoes. Now, where do you get running shoes when you're out?
Okay, yeah. I'm really lucky. I picked up a sponsorship down in Indy. It's Athletic Annex, and that's through TJ and MTC, which is the Misha Track Club. They send me. We have locations that we pick out. Usually, if I'm staying at a place like this, I'll have shoes shipped there, and we kind of just pick an area and be like, hey, he's staying here. We're gonna ship these shorts, socks. Even my sister does dehydrated food. She cooks food, and we'll get everything shipped there till the next month. Until I need more things. So.
Well, you also shared with me that you've gone through several sets of bearings.
Yes.
On your pull cart that we have over here, and why don't you tell the folks about the bearings? I think you purchased 26 bearings.
Yeah, 26 bearings, and I will say they have 2 on each wheel, so there's 8. So that does make it a little bit more, to add up to that 26. But when I was first doing the bearings, bike shop, we were just not getting the right bearings every time until I got to Durham. And my buddy Dylan, he's an engineer. He's not a mechanical engineer, but he knows a lot of stuff about bikes. And we were getting the wrong ID number, so I was having a lot of play in the bearings, and I was literally running through bearings constantly. But ever since I left there, I had the same bearings I left in Durham, and I think that's been, I don't know, at least almost 2,000 miles. I've had the same bearings, so. In a short period of time, I went through 26 bearings, and now I've got those down. I'm getting really good at bearings. So,
well, you started in Cleveland. You came down the East Coast. You went all the way to Key West, and now you've worked your way up the other coast of Florida, and here you are sitting in the Villages, Florida, which is kind of the central part of the area. What kind of struggles, or what's the hardest struggle you've had in these 4,000 miles or so?
I would, I mean, I guess it's more as a challenge of the bearings. I mean, when something like that goes out, it kind of, I'm stuck there, or at least
It's hard to push or pull something when the bearings aren't.
Yeah. And then I would say South Carolina. I was my GPS took me onto a dirt road out in South Carolina, and they just got rain. And I was looking around, and I was like, okay, there's no houses out here. And I began to really understand why, because it was muddy. So, I mean, I had mud up to my shins at some point, and trying to drag something, just trying to pull a bike through that makes it interesting. But I was able to get out of there. But that was probably the only time where I was like, I'm going to have to leave the car, and then I'm going to have to run and somehow get this cart out of here. But I think that was probably the most challenging moment and during this whole 4,000 so far.
Have you ever thought of quitting? You're 1/4 the way through. Has quitting come to your mind?
No.
Not once.
No. It's
amazing.
And I think there's some things you're born with, and you know you're going to do it no matter what. So, and I've got in contact with the right people, and there's so many people helping me get through here that I know I can now just run, and I'm going to do this not just for myself, but everyone that's involved with it. So,
well, that's great. And then, how many days have you missed that you haven't run because you're visiting a friend, or the weather's terrible, or?
Honestly, the only days I've had, I think I've had a total of 4 days so far that one day I had off was I was stopped in New York City, had a buddy, and then Durham, and then Key West. I took that off because it was a holiday, so I wanted to be able to talk to my family and FaceTime them. But I think I've only had 4 days completely off of not doing anything. So, and when I was in New York, we still, I think, walked 19 miles. So it was an active day off.
Yes.
So I haven't really needed to take the day off unless it's something I really want to experience, like being there, because I know I might not be through the city again. So, I choose those moments to be able to stay and take those moments in.
So, what about injuries? Have you had any injuries? Blisters?
I mean, I think you're common, like chafing and stuff like that, but nothing. I'm just as amazed, but I think when you do something you love to do, there's some magic in there. So I think I continually to, figure that out every day, that I'm just doing what I love to do. So. And
when we fed him tonight, fed him a lot of pasta, which has a lot of calories, and then when you go 50 miles on a run, how many calories do you burn?
I think we've kind of calculated. I think it's going closer to 12 to 15,000 calories every day, which. I'm talking to a dietitian, and she told me, she's like, I don't know how you're still out there, but when I see you, you don't look like you're starving or anything like that, or malnourished or whatever it is. You look like you're doing the right thing. So it's kind of crazy to think that, some days I'm only taking an 8 and I'm burning around, 12 to 15. So it doesn't, I don't know how quite to make sense of that, but.
Are you the only one that's ever attempted or gone around the perimeter of the United States?
I'll be the first one to do a consecutive solo trip around America. And, well, I say it's solo, but I do have so many people like this helping me along the journey. I couldn't do it without them, so.
Okay, and what dangers have you had, or are you prepared for?
I think the only sketchy, and it wasn't as bad. It was raining at some point in Florida, and I mean, it was really raining. And when it rains here, it's not like Indiana, it dumps. But I got under a canopy, and there was some people that was also staying out of the rain, maybe doing questionable things, and I was like, I gotta go to sleep. and I had a guy tell me like, "Hey, I'm just let you know I'm not gonna steal your stuff, but just paced around my tent all night." And that was probably the only uncomfortable moment I had. I hadn't, and I haven't had any encounters with animals, even the Everglades. I had a bear running from me, but I've learned that animals are just as timid as you are with them. So, but that was probably the only sketchy moment I had, was that. So.
And you also told me that you only saw 8 alligators in
Yeah.
Alligator Alley.
Yeah, I've heard this Florida this winter has been pretty chilly down here. So I've gotten, actually, for me, it's pretty nice because I don't have to go through so many calories or drink so much fluid and stuff like that. So it's been nice for me, but maybe not people that are down here.
And what sights have you seen that you sure would like to go back and see again?
Ooh, there's a lot. I would definitely want to go see Vermont, a little bit more of Vermont. I didn't go too far into Maine like I wanted to, but I would definitely like to go see Maine more. I think there's just so many. There is so many that it's hard to choose. But those are sticking out. But yeah, I think those would be it.
Well, when
so.
you came through Washington, D.C., how close were you to the White House?
Oh, I ran right past it. I got you couldn't, because when you see my car, I could see why it looked pretty questionable. There's a guy with a beard walking next to the White House. I definitely, once they looked at my hat and knew who I was, like, it looked like I was Forrest Gump, they kind of giggled, so.
When you're isolated and you're by yourself, which is hours on the day, how do you keep yourself focused and entertained?
I think that since I started running, it fills all those kind of like the emptiness and void, and I understand now like everything outside of me is within me in my heart. So like I never get too lonely or at all, or I'm really at peace when I'm out there running. I'm just grateful to be out there to do it. I think when you're doing the right thing, and that's all I can say. But
Well, you also showed me some of these headphones that are not really headphones,
Yeah.
but they're what they called.
they're shocks. They were aftershocks, and now they're shocks. But yeah, they're nice because you're able to hear everything outside, and yeah, it gives you the ability to listen to cars or whatever might be around you. So.
Yeah, because I hadn't heard of those, and they kind of go behind your ear. And
It's like a vibration thing. So it's kind of weird when you're first like listening to them because it's not in your ears, and it's a vibrating thing that goes outside your ears. So it's interesting.
And do you feel like you've had any kind of spiritual experiences when you're out there by your
Every day.
every day?
You learn just by watching nature how amazingly powerful you can be. Like I'm reminded every day when the sun comes up and the sun goes down, like, or when the wind's powerful or when it's raining, how there's just so much out there.
And all of us have dreams, but you have a dream that is way out there, but you're going after it, and you're going after it big time. What gives you that kind of fortitude? Where does that come from?
I think maybe just wanting more for myself, and it's just been something I've thought about for a long time. Like this certain dream, it's been something I've thought about for years. It might not have started going around the country. It was definitely running across and then biking around, and then it's turned into, getting in the ultra community. Then I'm like, maybe I could actually run across the whole country. And then we were like, or run around, and we found out no one's actually done that consecutively. So yeah, it's just, yeah.
And another thing is, nobody's done it. So how do you figure out what paths to go that are the least likely to be on the highway, etc.?
When I first started, I tried to plan it all out, and then I've learned very first day that you cannot do that, because as you go, you're going to learn that there's going to be just different things are going to come up. Maybe I can run on that, but you can't pull a card on it. So I've had to use Rider GPS, and that's an app for like cyclists as well. And then I have the guy from Durham, Dylan Stanford. He's been helping me quite a bit because he's a cyclist. So what's good about technology now that you wouldn't have 10 years ago is you can do Street View and you can see exactly if it looks like it's safe. And then if it's not, I just had to, if I have to walk that day in the grass, I gotta walk that day in the grass. It's whatever's the safest I can do, but try to prepare for as much as we can, but sometimes you just have to adapt to the situation, which I've had to do a few times.
Well, I'm sure. Well, there's nobody any more proud of you than I am.
Miscellaneous stuff, toll paper.
Now, is that Charmin or?
That's a porta potty that was donated. Yeah, I mean that's mainly most of the main gear that's.
So go over
really
your phone
important.
charging and your GPS tracking.
Oh yeah, I have a Garmin InReach, which was actually someone from Garmin that we know, Brian. He works for Garmin, so he gave us the hookup on this. So thank you for him. And then my stuff over here, which I have 2 portable chargers. One of these, which is it takes 30 minutes to charge, and it charges my phone up to 8 times. And then another portable charger, which this is my twin, so I gotta thank her. This can charge my phone. This has never ran out, so gave me the ability to keep my phone charged so I know where I'm going.
And so you pull this behind you, and this weighs 50 pounds.
Yeah, roughly, 50 pounds depending on the kind of water, like if I'm carrying more, because people don't realize a gallon of water is almost 8 pounds. It's 8.5 pounds actually. So it's actually quite heavy.
Well, did you show us your water distiller or whatever you call that?
Let's see. I don't think I have one open because I haven't had to use one. Let's see. But they're kind of like this. They're like those military ones, water filter.
Okay.
So when I do need to filter water, I can filter water. Florida's not. People say it's safe enough to go get the water, but I'm okay with not, upsetting an alligator. But yeah, and then a lot of I picked up a sponsor, Mountain Hardware in Vermont. I just ran into a sales rep, so I got some winter gear just in case. Even though we're in Florida, I haven't really had to use this too much. But I think, that's everything. Other than utensils, cooking utensils. And then people, I've gotten different hats. Wooden Warriors. I stayed with someone in Fort Myers that works for that organization. So I get a lot of this shirt too. Some, I forget who it was, but they donated this shirt as well. So.
And if somebody wants to donate to help you get through this journey, what are some ways that they can do that?
I do have a website that we can tag, and that has everything. You can get it on my Facebook, my Instagram. If you're wanting to get stats on my running, I have my Strava account on there as well. So, and there's also the donation places you can, and there's also I have a shirt also that you can actually buy on there. So.
Looks like you, doesn't it?
It does look like me.
Okay. All right. Well, we thank you very much, Cam, and we'll get you on the road in the morning. And believe it or not, I'm not going to skip any area. He has to go back to the same spot that I picked him up.
Yep.
So thank you, Cam, for entertaining us.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. Thank you, everybody, for the support.